Hey everyone, Ronaldo Offerman here with CompuShow Video Manuals. Wanted to show you a new trick about using a joystick with CompuShow. Now the very first thing you want to do is you want to go to your software preferences. Wait for the guy to boot up. And you're going to go to MIDI setup. And then you're going to see show MIDI data. And then joystick. You want to verify that everything is working the way that it should. Now you'll notice some things are already working because I mapped them, but I'm going to show you how I did that. It's actually a very simple process. So the first thing you're going to want to do, of course, you're going to want to fire up your console editor. And on my console editor, I made a very simple one. I called it Joystick. And I basically made 3 buttons. I made an XY grid. I made 2 buttons that I needed. Plus I made just a little dial. Again, super easy. Had that ready to go. Now you can map it if you want. I mean, not map it, but label it, color whatever you want. But this is all going to work behind the scenes. So the first thing I did is I did on the XY grid. I right click on it and I go to my console setup. And we're going to minimize our actual properties. It doesn't matter there. On data, you're going to see where it says joystick. We're going to enable it. And I did relative false. Basically it means that when I move it around, it's, you know, it's a lot more accurate to the movements of the joystick. If it's on true, when I move it to the left, it slowly goes to the left. Again, try either way and figure out which one you like best. I linked it to joystick number 1, and I told it that it's going to the pan, because notice right here there's joystick pan and then tilt. So I told it that it's going to control X. And then, of course, you have pan and you can invert, you can do all sorts of crazy things with it. And I told her that I wanted to activate with button 1, meaning I have to hold down button 1 to activate this. Okay? Then same thing with the tilt, and button 1 is actually a trigger, so this means that the joystick gets bumped, it's not going to mess up the camera, and you'll see that in just a moment. So I map it in there, and of course I just right click on this, oops I'm sorry, I shift right click and then I can link it to my XY grid. So let's see here, oh ignore that, that is parallels acting funky on me when I click around, there we go. So when I move this, it's almost an instantaneous response, but if I let go of the button, it keeps it, no matter where I have it. So that means if I move the camera or the joystick to the other side, then push the button, camera will immediately jump there. So I can quickly preset some positions if I wanted to. This particular one here, I'm going to right click on it, and basically it knows that it's not an XY grid, it's a button. So again, I mapped it to joystick 1, and then I did X or rotation type, and then I did my Z, which is just basically, on this joystick, I guess they use it as an accelerator throttle. So I did accelerator throttle, and then I mapped it to my zoom. So when I move this, you'll see how my zoom is going up and down. As I move my accelerator on my joystick, this works instantly, again, just like on a MIDI-Con. And then these guys here, I mapped them to the buttons right there. And you'll see buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you don't know which buttons they are, because there's tons of them, you can go to your control panel. You can type on joystick, or set, just type joystick. You'll see set up USB game controllers. You can wait for Windows to not load that. There it is right there. Go to properties, and then click on various buttons, and you can see what the joysticks and what everything is. So it makes that a little bit easier. So what I did is I mapped one button to basically turn my LEDs on and off, and then I mapped the other button to basically just a toggle for my focus. I don't need focus control. I just, every now and then the camera kind of gets stuck on something and it doesn't focus right. So I force a focus, and I actually have to zoom in almost all the way. So I can, force that out of focus, and then when I let go of it, it refocuses itself. One of the things that you may want is, you may have where you automatically want to do an autopilot, like I mentioned about. And that's, or not autopilot, but you... Okay, so let's do one more quick add-on to this video. Let's say that you want to be able to, when you move the joystick, have it automatically select a your moving head or your camera. In my case, I use the camera. Whatever you use them, follow spot, activate follow spot, or whichever. So we're going to go ahead and open up our console editor. I'm going to open up my joystick, and I'm going to add one more button. I'm just going to put that guy here. I'm just going to click OK. Get out of there. Now we're going to go to console, reload it. Okay, great. So now we have this guy here. We're going to right click on it, and we are going to assign it a button. So we're going to move down data, it's not data, MIDI data, DMX data joystick. We're going to assign it to button number 1. Now, if you remember, button number 1 is the one that I use to activate or to control this. So, when I click it, I can move buttons and all that. It also activates this. So, I'm going to go ahead and take this, which controls my camera, and I'm going to button activate. I hate it when it does that. There we go. One of the things I forgot to mention about joysticks, and you just saw this happen in front of you, so it's a learning experience for everybody. Yay, is that a lot of times if you're using a joystick, some of those buttons are always pressed down because, you know, joysticks are a little bit different than DMX buttons. So do it the manual way of doing down on the star. Okay, so there we go. So now when I push the joystick, it will control my moving head. When I let go, it won't do it anymore. Now you can also have that permanently on. It's completely up to you, but that's just an easy way of doing it. You can also map it that when you let go of that button, that little click, it'll automatically go to a sound activated or to a pre-made program. And the way that you do that is we're going to go right over here and we're going to go to star. We're going to go to, I'm getting distracted. So in active level, we want it to be off. In outside active level, we want it to be on. That means that when the button's pushed in, it's going to be off. When the button's pushed on or out, it's going to be on. We're going to select our page, which is our elation camera. There we go, EVCMH12 channel mode. We're going to do selected button, and that is going to be, where is it, position. We're just going to do position circle. So that means that the circle is pretty much on unless I let go of that button. So when I push that button, I can control it. When I let go, it goes into the circle position. So of course, if you try to select other things, obviously it's going to go right back to that circle. This is really good if you're trying to run a show, you know, while you're running lighting at the same time. You only want the, you want the camera to always move around, and then if you want to quickly grab it, you can move it around, let go, and it goes right back to a pre-made one. So I hope that helps, guys. Thank you so much, and God bless.